All right, what's up, 129? How are you? I've had some people calling me and asking a bit of advice around enrollment, and I wanted to share some of the steps that have been really working for me in a quick video. I'm going to be as laser as I can about this, 5 to 7 minutes at most. I know that sounds like a lot, but what we're going to cover is how I introduce the conversation, the pattern of the conversation I have, and how I overcome the three main objections people are saying they're getting, which are I don't have the money, I don't have the time, or it sounds like it's good for you, but I don't know if it'll work for me. All that is what I'm going to talk about here. Just got off a great conversation with Case and Leah. Shared a lot for them. Leah was saying to me that some of the stuff that she and I have talked about has been working for her. She's so great. And now I want to share with you. I will say, I'm not saying I'm the master enroller on the team. I mean, I've enrolled 6 people in the basics so far. Some people have enrolled more. We got our Captain Ivan, who is killing it. I mean, he enrolls these freaking Uber drivers when he takes an Uber. So reach out to a bunch of people for coaching, but I know this works for me, and it'll give you some very clear steps on how to have the conversation and some very clear steps on how to overcome objections. So let's jump in. First thing, I have my list of people to call. Though I talked to the barista at Starbucks the other day when he was on his break. I've also talked to the guy who's signed me up for my gym membership at the gym as he was signing me up at the gym, and I'm working on getting him registered when he gets his next paycheck. So it's not limited to people you know. But make your list, make the call. First thing is, where's your come from? People feel a lot of pressure from the seniors. We got a game this week. We got a number this week. Don't you care about your mission? And if you get too much in your head about that, you lose sincerity. So I always look at that as a byproduct. I want to enroll people because I know it's going to be great for them. I believe in this. I know it's going to make them happier. I know it's made me happier. And as a byproduct, I'll also contribute to our team vision number and to our weekly number. But if I call up just about the number, then I'm calling up for me. If I call up because I want to make their life better and the number is a byproduct, they can feel that in the conversation. So that's the headspace you want to get into. Now, the conversation itself. I have a pattern that I use that's incredibly effective. So let me give it to you. First part of the conversation, how are you doing? I just connect. I don't force it into MITT talk. How are you doing? Let them talk about themselves. What's going great? What's not necessarily going great? Anyway, that'll give you some stuff to talk about later when you get to how MITT can help them. And just let them flow. At some point, just by natural conversation, they're then going to say, and how are you doing? And as soon as they do that, then my enthusiasm comes out. This is going great in my life, and that's going great in my life. And I usually get them saying something like, wow, you sound terrific. This is great. And I say, you know what? A lot of it's because of this new group I'm working with. They're called MITT, and they're all about leadership, having personal breakthroughs, getting out of your own way. It has created so much freedom in my life. It's got me working on my goals. It's been amazing. And they go, oh, that sounds awesome. Now listen to what I do here. At this point, I actually turn it back to them. And I say, well, I'm glad you asked me about this. So now it's no longer me bringing it up. It's them bringing it up. Because something you said earlier really reminded me of someone in my group. Now, why am I also all tying them to someone in my group? Because one of the objections we get is, well, that may work for you. I don't know if it's going to be good for me. I'm destroying that objection right now, and I'm also making MITT real for them. So let's say one of the things that they had said to me when I said, how are things going, is, I really want to ask my boss for a raise, but I'm intimidated and I don't know exactly what to say. And I could say, well, something you said earlier about your boss totally reminds me of someone in my group. And I'm going to pick Christine because I love her and her transition's been so dramatic and amazing and inspiring. I never use people's names. I just say this woman or this man in my group. But I'll say, there was this woman in my group. And when I first met her, I was sitting across the table from her at a meal and I had to ask her to speak up. She was like so inside herself and so quiet. you could barely hear her when you're 3 feet away from her. And then there was this transition, and a couple of the exercises we did clicked for her. And by the end of the experience, it was amazing. The last day of our workshop, I'm in the back row, she's in the front row, she's standing, her shoulders are back, you can just feel the power radiating off her, and I can hear every word she's saying, and she's like 50 feet away from me, and I'm going, oh my God, I can't believe this is the same person. It was so inspiring. The person will say to me, oh my God, that sounds amazing. I go, yeah, and then after that, she did this fundraiser where she got everybody to perform, all these people to show up. She raised like $8,000. This is a woman who at the beginning of the process, I couldn't even hear her when she was 3 feet away. And the person goes, that's amazing. And I say, right. So, when you were talking to me about your boss and not being able to, being intimidated by asking for a raise, I immediately thought, man, could you imagine if Diane got that same powerful experience that this person in my workshop did? I mean, could you imagine that? Like if you just walked into your boss with that kind of energy, that kind of power, man, they'd be so won over, they'd give you more than money than you were asking for. And the person goes, yeah, that'd be great. And I said, and then I'll tie it to their life. And I go, by the way, if you felt that powerful, where else would you use that? Like, would you use it in your relationships? Are there some goals you've been going after where you just haven't felt as strong as you want? And they'll go, oh, well, yeah, I'd use it here. I'd use it here. Now, here's where I turn it to them again. And I go, well, you've convinced me, right? You've convinced me. I mean, if you think this would help you talk to your boss, and if you're telling me this would help you with your health and your other goals, I'm convinced. I want you to become part of the family, right? Not I'm convincing you. I get them to say, yeah, it'd be great. Here's why it'd be great. Here's how I'd use it. And I go, well, you've convinced me. You're right. This would be a good workshop for you to do. Let's get you done. I want you, I always say this, I want you to become part of my MITT family. So the next workshops are this date and that date. Let's register you for one. And why do I give them 2 dates? Well, because I might say the next workshop, I just had this happen with a friend, is this date. And they said, well, I'm actually teaching a class that weekend and I'm the main teacher, so I have to be there. I said, great, then we have the other date. So that gets past, I have a conflict. And then they'll immediately say, so it's this date or that date, what do you want? Well, now they're not going to object that it doesn't apply to them because they've just told me how it's going to apply to them. They might go, oh, well, I mean, you want me to commit now, right? No sense of urgency. Here's what I say to that. You know what? I said that exact same thing. My buddy told me about this. He wanted me to register, so did his wife. And I was like, look, I'm busy. Let me see when I have time. And I put it off for 3 months until finally on the 3rd month, they just looked at me and said, look, we've been talking about this. We're sick of talking about this. We want you to just do it. And I registered, right? Well, here's why I'm so bummed. It changed my life. And I could have had that happen 3 months sooner. Like, I opened up all these beautiful presents that added to my life. And I could have literally had Christmas 3 months sooner if I wanted to. But I kept saying, well, when I have time. What I noticed is the second I committed to a date, instead of me thinking, do I have time to do this? Instead, I started scheduling stuff around it. So I don't want you to have the same problem that I had, right? I don't want you to end up putting it off for 3 months like I did. Let's just pick a date, commit you now, and then you can schedule around it. And usually people go, yeah, that makes sense. And then there's the third thing, and this is the last part of this video, the money objection. How much is it? Well, it's a $295 deposit, and it's $495 for the whole thing. Oh my God, $495, I'm broke, I don't have money, I'll die, I'll be in the street like a dog, I'll have no food, I'll have no shelter, $500 is all the money in the world, what are you doing? How could you possibly ask that of me, right? And they get done with all that. And then I go, wow, now I'm really happy we're talking about this. And they say, what do you mean? Now, so that they don't feel like they're the only friend I have that's broke and they don't feel ashamed. And by the way, if they bring up money to you, that's a good thing. It means that they like you and they trust you enough to actually admit that they're having challenges with money. Someone has to have a lot of rapport with another person to be able to open up like that. So it's a good thing. I go, well, I'll tell you what, I'm letting you know right now that if $495 is a challenge for you with this, There's probably a lot of times you need 400 something bucks and you don't have it for a car repair, for a suit you need to buy. So let's just put MITT to the side for a second. One of the things they teach us is how to go from here's why I can't to here's how I can. It's a great mindset that they teach us. So let's just teach you how to create $500 whenever you want it, whether it's for MITT or for a car repair or whatever it is. Would you like to be able to create 500 bucks whenever you needed 500 bucks? And someone goes, they'll laugh and they'll go, well, of course. And you go, well, great. Let's start with Craigslist. I think every person I know has at least $300 to $500 lying around their house. Old computers they can sell, a Game Boy they don't need anymore, clothes that they can take to one of those vintage clothing places and get some money for. If it's a woman, I always say shoes. How many pairs of shoes do you have that you just don't wear anymore, but they're still cute? Someone would still buy them. Are there appliances you can sell? And I'll literally take someone through their apartment and they'll mention 4 or 5 things. And I'll say, well, you could get 50 bucks for that. That sounds like you could get 100 bucks for it. I'll say, well, if we Craigslisted all that, that sounds like $200 right there. Boom. We just made $200 for you in less than a minute. Do you have a car that's less than 6 years old and has 4 doors? If the answer is yes, I go, Uber. I know people making 15 to 20 bucks an hour and you work whenever you want. We could get you signed up for Uber. You'd be ready to drive in 2 days, just as soon as they check out your car and your driver's license. You work for them for, let's say, 15 hours. You just made $300 right there. Got all the money you need, and you never have to be broke again. Whenever you need some extra cash, just fire up Uber, work for them for a few hours. The person goes, that's amazing. Or they might say, well, my car only has 2 doors. And then I say the third thing. Everybody usually has some kind of skill they forget they have that people would want. Is there something you're great at, math or English, that you can tutor kids in? And you let people in your apartment complex at the local school know you're available for tutoring. Is there, let's say, a language you speak? Maybe you speak Spanish fluently. And you say to someone, you know what, for 15 bucks an hour, I'll go to Starbucks with you and I'll practice Spanish with you, conversational Spanish or French or whatever language you speak. I'll just talk to you in that language and you can practice speaking that language. I've had some friends do that. The guy at my gym, I said to him, why don't you have $400? You work at a great gym. He goes, well, they don't pay much. And I said, do you have a skill? He goes, well, actually, I'm a personal trainer. I said, do you live in an apartment complex? He goes, yeah. I go, then put a dang flyer in the laundry room. What do you charge to be a personal trainer? He says, $100 an hour. I go, how are you broke? How are you broke when you live in an apartment complex with he told me, 90 apartments? So you've got approximately 150 people living in that apartment complex. You make $100 an hour. I go, do you realize if 2 people said they wanted to work with you and each of them worked with you an hour a week, that's an extra $800 a month. Cash. That's $10,000 a year. We just gave you a $10,000 a year raise. How long have you been living in that apartment complex? Oh, I've been living there for 2 years. You've been broke for 2 years I said, you've already lost $20,000 you could have made over the last 2 years. And then I tie it back to MITT. You see why it's so great when you change your thinking about your life, all of a sudden these solutions come up. We just created a $10,000 a year for you that was always there, always waiting for you to have it. But your mindset was, here's what I am. I'm broke. I'm in scarcity. We changed you to solution oriented. We changed you to abundance mentality. This year, you're going to make 10 grand more than you would have. That's why MITC is so great. You in? And then the person goes, okay, let's do it. I go, great. Here's the only thing I want you to promise me. The first $495 you make as a personal trainer, we use that to sign you up for the basic. Is that cool? Guy goes, yes. Great. And he's got the flyer up in the laundry room, and I'm checking in with him every time I go in for a workout. So that's how I have the conversation. That's how I overcome those objections. I hope this is useful to you. And if you want to call me for coaching and talk to me one-on-one, I'm open for anybody. We're only at 2 out of 30 this week for our game. We've still got 3 more days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm here to help. I'm going to do everything I can for the game. 949-278-3436. Call me if you want to talk at all. All right, gang. Hope everything's going great.